What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Backstage with BeU. Today on the show, we have a rap artist and my good friend, Uncle Ricq. Ricq, how we doing today, man?
Doing really good. Been in good spirits. Having a nice day. I'm in Tampa visiting some family.
And can't go wrong with that. Some beautiful weather, right?
Yeah.
For sure, man. So I know we got a lot to talk about today. But let's start with your story, man.
All right, so it's kind of all over the place, but basically, I was born in Canada. Me and my sister are both Canadian citizens. My parents immigrated to Canada from Jamaica, and then I want to say when I was 2 or 3, we moved to New York, me and my mom, and then from there we spent, I want to say, 9 years in New York in the Poughkeepsie area, like upstate.
Right.
When I was in, I want to say 5th grade, we moved to Georgia. I was in Locust Grove, Georgia. Like right outside of Macon, the McDonough area for from 5th grade till about halfway through 9th grade year. Moved to Florida in November of 2012, and I've been here ever since. And I love it out here. It's definitely like the movements has definitely like affected my like influences.
That's
so
what
like
I was about to ask you.
Yeah, like my family's background alone, like I was always the little kid at the family events, like dancing and stuff like that, and I was just always enjoyed being the center of attention. Like I used to get out the car really slow going to school and like making my mom turn the music up louder.
Right.
And I've just always been that type of person. And so I guess when I knew I wanted to make music, I was probably like 13. My cousin had a birthday party and I did 50 Cent in the club on her karaoke machine. And her and all her friends were like 3 or 4 years older than me, and they went crazy. And like that feeling, I was like, I could get used to that.
Yeah, for sure. That's crazy that you moved from Canada to New York to Georgia to Florida. Like, I'm not surprised. Like, you've definitely had influences from all those, other states or countries and whatnot.
100%. Like, because my dad still lives in Canada, and his side of the family is definitely very like Caribbean oriented. So when I go up there, I hear a lot of everything, honestly, just because Canada is such a melting pot of like cultures.
For sure.
And honestly, the side I get from my mom is like, my mom loves like classic like 90s R&B music.
Right.
And so I hear that every day going to school, and I always loved that. But really the rap aspect came from my stepdad. He was born and grew up in the Bronx, and he used to listen to all the like old school DJ Clue tapes in the car on the way to school. So I would get like the R&B in the morning and the rap I wasn't supposed to hear on the way to school, and it kind of gave me like a crazy balance.
That's dope, bro. So who would you say your biggest musical influences are? I'm sure it's some old 90s rap and R&B artists and all that.
Honestly, I would have to say my biggest, well, it's kind of weird because I have like a group of artists that influence me to make music and a group of artists that influence my music. So I would say the artists that inspired me to start making music are Snoop Dogg, Wiz Khalifa, Mac Miller, and Joey Badass. 100%. Like seeing Joey Badass in like the pro era, like the whole like cult following that they built, and I was looking at it like, okay, they're only like 2 or 3 years older than me, and they're doing this full force, so why can't me and my friends do this? So like I started out like wanting to be in like a group, and then as I like found my own more, I don't want to say I branched off, but I just became more of an individual when it came to my music.
Right, for sure.
And definitely like Snoop Dogg was a really big influence because like his entire like persona, like down to what he says, like I was always obsessed with like being like the coolest. I don't even want to say the coolest dude in the room. Like he was just like the ladies' man, but he was chilling.
Yeah.
At first I didn't really understand it because I was younger, and like as I got older, I'm like, yeah, like now I see why I was so drawn to that.
Yeah.
And then the Wiz Khalifa and Mac Miller, like their tour videos, like just like watching the lifestyle that they lived along with the music, it just made it that was the first time I ever looked at like going through life and like not getting a full-time job, and like I wanted to be a marine biologist before I started listening to Mac Miller and Wiz. So I'm kind of happy because I hate the water.
Yeah, it's two completely different careers right there. That's funny that you mentioned that about Snoop Dogg, because I definitely see, that persona that you talked about kind of fitting into your personality and whatnot, kind of the way like that you are. That's pretty.
Yeah, and just like he's just like never done just one thing. Like you will see Snoop Dogg come out with a hard song, be in a movie,
right.
Just very well rounded, and
Yeah.
I always like wanted to model myself after that. And then I would say the artist that really influenced the type of music that I make is, Drake is. Drake's first album is probably the reason why I started like making my own music. I feel like my music beforehand was kind of somebody else's, me trying to rap like somebody else. And then I heard Take Care, and I was like, oh, okay, well, nobody's gonna make fun of me for rapping about my feelings.
Right.
And then I would say Drake. And then I used to be really against like trap rap. Like I said, I used to listen to a lot of like Joey Badass and like the Beach Coast music. A friend of mine introduced me to the Migos, and that completely changed my perspective on like how music was made and recorded and all of that. Because I just used to like not want to hear anything else besides like the boom bap rap.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say like Drake, the Migos, and probably I would say, Drake, the Migos, and I would honestly have to say like Chris Brown, because that was the first CDs I ever got were Trey Songz's first album, and I stole my sister's Chris Brown album because at first I wanted to sing, but
right.
I can kind of do whatever I want when it comes to it, and he was definitely a big influence on just like the different types of sounds, like moving through pop, R&B, even rapping. Even though he's mainly an R&B singer, I was always inspired by that.
Right. So going off what you were saying earlier about how you were introduced to the Migos, and that kind of changed the way you look at how music is created and recorded. What does your creative process look like when you're making music?
I would say me, an ideal like studio day is I'm an early riser. Like, doesn't matter how late I go to sleep. So I'm getting up at like 8:30, just like getting some coffee or some tea and like smoking and just like getting into the vibe. I'm a big like podcast person. I rarely watch actual TV. So I'll probably like watch like the Joe Budden podcast, or like I'm a big fan of the 85 South show and like Drink Champs. Just to like, I love soaking up game from other artists that have already established themselves that I respect.
Sure.
That kind of like puts me in the mood to be like, okay, now it's time for me to make music. Like, and I learned something today. I picked up something new, and now I'm gonna get into the vibe.
For sure, bro. I definitely want to get into you performing at Pods. And I know you've had like a bunch of shows this year. You completely kill it. You don't only have fans that show up, you have stands. You have the same people coming up to every single one of your shows, and they all pop off. And you mentioned earlier that you were that kid around your family dancing and singing like all the time. Have you always known that you wanted to be on stage and perform?
I don't want to say I've always known that I wanted to perform. I always liked being the center of attention, but I didn't know how to handle it.
Right.
So like performing at Pots is crazy because I've been like going to that place for 4 years. It's probably my favorite place to go in Tallahassee. And being on stage for the first time, I remember the first time my mom ever heard my song, DJ Evolution Is My Big in SAE. And he played my song on Parents Weekend back when Pots used to just have rocks in the beer garden.
Yeah.
And I used to lie to my mom and tell her I was a producer because she found some crazy rap I wrote when I was like 12. And I blamed it on a friend because I was saying some wild stuff I had no idea. Blamed it on my friend. He ended up coming to the house, and she asked him about it, and then she knew it was me. So I was like scared for a long time for like any of my family to hear my music. And then like high school, I really only got supported by my friends, and everybody was kind of like going to play football or basketball somewhere, and I kind of like fell back from playing sports because I knew it was what I wanted to do. I just wanted to get better. And so the first show, I want to say, was like all of that coming full circle for me, and just like seeing everybody there, having my song like get sung word for word back to me was like a surreal feeling.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so how is the the Tallahassee underground scene when it comes to rap? Because I know you're really fully involved with that.
Honestly, I feel like Tallahassee has a lot. The music coming out of Tallahassee is a lot better than people would think, and the scene is a lot stronger than people understand. I just think that I want to say in the last year or so, the venues and clubs have become more open to like expanding outside of like the big EDM scene that we have there.
Most definitely.
And I want to say like artists like Apollo, we have producers like Dozaki, Psy, there's so many artists. My boy Remy, he's crazy, Ace Villar, Boog, Grid, like there's honestly so many names, Renzo. And I've honestly linked with so many other artists from other cities through the Tallahassee scene. Like I met artist I'm a big fan of, 777 Villain, through like Renzo and all my boys. He's from Tampa, and I linked up with him. I'm a big fan of his music, and we're gonna work. I met a good friend of mine, Just Low, out of Tallahassee through my buddy Sam, and it's kind of just, it all happened organically because I'm the type of person who goes out and I have a good time and just meet people naturally. So anytime I make like genuine connections with people through that process, like I love it.
Right, I couldn't agree more, bro. I think one of the best things about the Tallahassee underground scene is the support from, the community and every artist. All those artists show up to your shows and you show up to their shows as well, and like that's what it takes to support from the community. So I think that's super awesome.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to get into is you just dropped a music video about a month ago with Beach Boii. The song is called No Better, and it already has 61,000 views in a month, which is crazy. The numbers are doing really good. And that video is really, really good, bro. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
That song, how that song came together was honestly kind of crazy. I was like one of those mornings where I was up watching the podcast, like smoking, getting into my vibe for the day. And my boy Beach, who I had never actually met him in person before the video shoot, my old roommate James, they grew up together, and we kind of like met each other like over social media, so we were familiar with each other.
Right.
And then I was on the phone with him, and we kind of spoke, and I was like, oh, this kid's really chill. Like I could see myself like working with him and like hanging out. He sent me the song one morning, and we had been planning to work on music, but I feel like he's like me, and he likes the process being very like organic.
Right.
And so like he sent me the song. I want to say like I heard it and immediately was like, okay, I'm doing this. And I probably sent it back in like 15-20 minutes. And I solely like went into the song like thinking like, okay, this is something that people aren't used to me like hearing me on, but it's also like my heritage and it's like my background. And so I was very familiar with it, and I was excited to have the opportunity to showcase that like I'm that well-rounded.
No, definitely, it was super dope, bro. We're definitely probably gonna put it in our bio, link it in after this interview when we drop it. The next question I have for you, bro, is you said you have a project dropping in, April or May. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going into that?
The project that I'm dropping it's the follow-up to my first like actual project. I dropped the Ricq Flair project when I want to say like I first got to Tallahassee and I was first coming into my own as an artist. And the Ricq Flair 2 is basically going to be, it's like a continuation of the first Ricq Flair. If you listen to the first one, it's kind of like almost like a story without interludes. If you listen to each of the songs, you'll see like the change in my attitude towards things and like relationships and like life in general and just like my outlook on things. And Ricq Flair 2 is kind of like me growing up a lot with my music and kind of like finishing out like my story of college and like going into like this at the actual real world and like experiencing new things and whatnot.
Right.
So really excited to release that music because I only put out, I want to say like 2 songs last year, just because I'm trying to like hone my craft and improve and honestly just live life more. I'm one of those people who I can't force myself to sit in the studio and make music. I gotta like go out and do something to have something.
Experience things, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like that just makes the music more relatable because it's me talking about real life experiences. And like, if you've been around me or know me or are familiar with me, you'll hear things and be like, oh, okay, like, damn, he really did do that, or I was there for that. And I feel like it brings me and my fans and like the people who listen to my music all together and keeps us on the same level because I would never want to be like above anybody else.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm super stoked to hear it, man. See how like you progress, your sound, your story, and like what you've gone through since you've dropped, that last project. It's gonna be really something cool to listen to. The next question I have for you, bro, is all right. You get the late night munchies. You got $10. You hit the Sunoco on Gain Street. What do you get?
2 honey buns, the 50 ones, not the ones with the thick icing. I'm a big water guy, so I'm getting on the water if they have it. And I'll probably buy like a grab leaf or something. I'm not a big snack guy.
I got you. I never had a honey bun before. I'm gonna have to try one.
Yeah, the 2 50-cent honey buns, you pop it in the microwave for like 10 seconds. It's fire.
Yeah, I remember back in high school, everyone used to get those out of the vending machine. That was the thing that was always sold out. Next question: Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon?
Nickelodeon, because Nick at Night was goated.
Different, yeah. That early Cartoon Network though with the Teen Titans, that was pretty fire.
Yes, that was a tough one, but I gotta ride with Nick at Night.
For sure, bro. You wake up at 3 a.m. and you have George Lopez still playing on. Those are different memories.
Song like playing in the back of my head.
For sure, bro. So the last question I have for you is, what do the next 3 to 5 years look like for you in your career?
I want to say that the next 3 to 5 years are going to be a lot different from the last 3 to 5 years for me. And I'm just a very optimistic person, and I see the progression in what I'm doing, and like I'm getting ready to leave Tallahassee and head out to LA in April. So I'm going to be there permanently.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to be a big change. And I had to choose between moving to South Florida and going to California, and I was so comfortable with the idea of going to South Florida, which is why I decided to go to California, just because I feel like you make the best out of the most uncomfortable situations. And the same way I felt about moving to California is how I felt about moving to Tallahassee, and that was probably the best decision I made after high school.
For sure, bro. I like that you're not scared to, hop in uncomfortable situations because, like you said, that's where you grow the most as a person and an artist.
Yeah.
That's super dope. Yeah, y'all heard it here first. No Better. Dad's already dropped music video. Go check that out. He's also gonna be dropping in April or May, so definitely be on the lookout for that. Ricq, I want to appreciate you coming on the show today, man. It's been a long time coming.
Appreciate you having me, boss. I really support what you got going over here at BeU. I love the platform, and I think it's gonna grow just like all of me and my friends' careers along with yours.
Yeah, I appreciate that, bro. All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right, boss. Have a good one.